Okay, everybody, I just started recording my lesson here, and it's been a while since we've actually learned where we left off in our Gemara. So I'm excited to get back into it, and hopefully I'll see you guys shortly. Feeling great, so hope to be back as soon as possible. I'm going to now just share my screen because what we're going to do is we're going to learn some new Gemara. It's not going to be so easy, but that's the nature of Gemara. Hashem makes us work for it. It's not just so simple, like an easy novel that you'd read in English class. It's not like that. You have to really think about it and work it out, and look over the details and see the nitty gritty comes along with each Gemara. So, if you'll take a look in your Gemaras, whether you can do that on your screen with me or in your actual Gemaras, but either way, you should take notes because what we're going to do is start from 27a, where we left off, and hopefully we can understand a little bit better. The idea being is we left off with this nice orange piece that basically proves that Rabbi Yehuda holds ad vad b'chal. You get until 4:45 for Mincha, you get until 1 o'clock for Musaf, and 10 o'clock for Shacharis. And the proof was because this last thing that the Tamid Shel Shachar Shekariv be'arba shot Shma Mina ad vad b'chal was brought within or at the fourth hour. Is a different way of saying it as opposed to saying ad arba shot. Here it says be'arba shot in that fourth hour. So obviously you got that whole fourth hour as well. So now the Gemara is going to bring us to a very interesting discussion as to why those were the chosen hours. Why did choose 4? Why the Chachamim choose the Tanakama choose Chatzos for Shacharis? Remember that was the whole discussion. That was the whole discussion in the beginning of the Mishnah. Was Shacharis? The Tanakama says Chatzos, and Rabbi Yehuda said Dalet Shot. So where do those terms come from? Where do those numbers come from? I'm just going to set my timer so I know when 40 minutes are up, and then actually I'll do for 30 minutes, and I'll have you review for the last 15. So let's start my timer for 30 minutes, and let's begin. So the Gemara here says, we can skip all the way down to this very first wide line of the Gemara on page 27a, which is Chaf Zayin Amud Aleph. We're on the first wide line. The first word on the line reads Tamid Shel Shachar Shekariv ba'arba shot. So the Tamid Shel Shachar was brought at the fourth hour. So Gemara wants to know, Man Tana lahad, who was the Tana who said this? That you can bring the carbon at the fourth hour. This previous proof here that the Gemara used that said you can bring a carbon till the fourth hour. Who said that? Was it Rabbi Yehuda or was it the Chachamim? Well, my assumption, the first thing I would think of is what you're probably thinking of. That everyone here should take a second to think, who do you think it is? Is it the Chachamim, the Tanakama, or is it Rabbi Yehuda? Obviously, you would think it's Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is fourth hour. So the Gemara then asks, who was the one who taught this? V'cham Hashemesh v'namas. So this gets a quotation mark before the word v'chas, because the word v'chas is v'cham Hashemesh, the Shemesh got hot, the sun got hot, v'namas, and it melted. We'll have to learn what this is talking about. But this word v'cham is the first word of a pasuk, or is the middle of a pasuk, and this word v'namas is the end of the quotation. So you see, the Merkava actually gives you the beautiful pasuk here from Shemos Tez Zayin Chaf Aleph. So what is it saying here? Vayilkitu oso baboker ish kfi achlo v'cham hashemesh v'namas. This is talking about when the Bnei Yisrael were in the Midbar. Actually talking about in a couple parshas from now. This week's parsha is Bashalach, and then we cross the Yarden, the Yam Suf, the Kriya Yam Suf, and a couple days later we're getting man from Hashem. A special food from the Shemayim. They say the angels' food. So what's going on here? The pasuk says, "Vayilkatu oto baboker," that the people took it in the morning. Ish kvi ochlo, each person to what he needed to eat. V'cham hashemesh v'namas, and the shemesh was hot. The shemesh got hot, the sun got hot, and it melted. It melted the man away. So the Gemara says, be'arba shot, is that the fourth hour when the sun gets hot? Isn't that the fourth hour of the day? Ata omer ba'arba shot, oena ela b'sheish shot. Maybe When it says that the sun got hot, and you'll see how this is all relevant to the times, maybe when it says when the sun got hot, it refers to the 6th hour of the day, i.e., what's the 6th hour of the day, guys? What's the 6th hour of the day called in our Zmanim chart? It's Chatzot. It's the midday. 6-hour mark is the midday. So maybe Cham HaShemesh means 6 hours. We don't know. Cham HaShemesh maybe means 4 hours, but maybe it means 6 hours. So the Gemara says, how do we know? So the Gemara says, Kishehu Omer Kechom Hayom. No, it can't mean six hours. It has to be 10. Why? Because it doesn't say the day got hot. It doesn't say the day got hot. Kishehu Omer Kechom Hayom Hare Sheishaot. That when the pasuk here in Bereshis, and you can read it here again, Kechom Hayom is a quotation marks. Quotation marks here. Kechom Hayom, quotation. You can always pause this recording and add your quotation marks if I'm going too fast. I have a lot to cover in 30 minutes. So the Gemara says, no. Cham HaShemesh v'namos, when the sun got hot and it melted the mun away. So that can't be the 6th hour. Chatzot hayom. It can't be 12 o'clock because there it says that the sun got hot. And then when the sun got hot, all the mun of the day melted away. So you had to get it before the sun got hot. So what time was that? We're asking, was it 4 or was it 6? And you'll see why in a second. So the Gemara says, why couldn't it be 6? Why does it have to be something less than 6? Because there's another pasuk here in Bereshit. It says, "Vayar ha'ilav Hashem be'elonei mamre v'hu yoshe pesach ha'ol kechom hayom." And when Abraham was sitting by the edge of his tent after he gave himself a brit milah, Hashem was there helping him, and he saw 3 people walking in his direction. And it says he was sitting there at the edge of his tent in the heat of the day. Kechom hayom, the heat of the day. Not the heat of the sun, the heat of the day. That means the entire outside was hot. That the actual weather, you know how you wake up in the morning and it's really, really cold. I mean, this happened in the beginning of the year when we were davening outside. And it was really cold outside, but the sun is out shining. It could be that, later in the day it'll be 60 degrees. But right now in the morning it's 40 degrees, 37 degrees. It's freezing. When you're in the sun can beam down and you could be a little warmer. So a lot of the 6th graders would sit outside the tent in the sunlight because the sun itself is hot. Obviously, it's a ball of fire. But the day itself, it takes a while from when the sun comes up the horizon to heat up the earth, to heat up the day, right? You can't just wake up in the morning, it's hot outside because the sun is up now. So you have to give it time. So the Gemara is saying, when the words of the pasuk Kechom Hayom, that means that the actual day is hot. That means it's the actual air outside is hot. You don't have to be in the sunlight. So that means that it's been a long time the sun has been out. So that's 6 hours. When you see that the day is hot. But when it just said in the first pasuk Kecham Hashemesh, that the sun is hot, that must be earlier in the day. In the day, it can't be that it's the 6th hour because that's when the day is hot. That's when the whole outside you can go out, walk outside, and it's hot outside. It's 60 degrees. But before that, when you wake up and it's sunny outside, but it's still cold, how is it possible? That's because just the sun is hot because it hasn't heated up the whole atmosphere yet. So the Gemara says, "Kechom hayom" by Avraham Avinu. Here's the second pasuk shows us that it's 6 hours. Harehu sheish hours. That's talking about 6 hours. Hamani mekayim. So what is that teaching us? The Cham HaShemesh v'namas ba'arba shot is talking about 4 hours. So money, who is this opinion? Question mark. So have a comma after ba'arba shot. And now the Gemara asks Mani, question mark. Who is this opinion? Whose opinion is it that Cham HaShemesh v'namas is 4 hours? We know it's 4 hours. We know Cham HaShemesh means 4 hours. We just figured that out because the pasuk would, had it meant 6 hours, would have said Cham Hayom v'namas. It would have said that the day got hot and it burnt up the rest of the mun that was left over. But the fact that it says the Shemesh got hot shows us that it's a little earlier than 6 hours because the daytime, it's not hot outside, it's hot in the sun, and it's a little earlier than that. So it would be 4 hours. So Gemara now asks, whose opinion is this, like the Tanakama or Rabbi Yehuda? So I would tell you it's Rabbi Yehuda, right? So the Gemara says, no, lo ki Rabbi Yehuda v'lo Rabbanan. The Gemara says a chiddush. It says a new idea. It says, wait, this is not like Rabbi Yehuda or the Chachamim. What? This is not like Rabbi Yehuda or Chachamim. Isn't Rabbi Yehuda's opinion 4 hours? Isn't Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that 4 hours is the end of the day? So wouldn't that make sense? Cham HaShemesh v'namas means Rabbi Yehuda. Wouldn't that make sense? I mean, Chachamim say you have until 12. So why is this significant? Why does the Gemara want to know whose opinion is what? The idea is that Cham HaShemesh v'namas, when it talked about the man, is that the Jewish people would go out and they would gather the man, right? I'll slow down for this for a little bit just to make sure we're clear. And Hashem said that if you let the sun get hot, it's going to burn up the rest of the month. So you need to get it quickly. You need to be able to go out and get it. You need to get it before the sun gets hot. So we tried to determine when that is. So we decided it was 4 hours. So when the sun gets hot and the rest melted, we're assuming that that's no longer morning. We're assuming that after the sun is hot, that's no longer morning. It's a transition in the daytime. It's a transition in the day, meaning it was from sunrise until Hashemesh v'namas. That's part of the morning. It's part of the morning. And then after Hashemesh v'namas is now going to be the next part of the day. So the Gemara says, that makes sense. I would have thought it's Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says you can daven shachrit until 4 hours. And then it's the next part of the day. So, halfway to mincha time. And then whenever mincha time comes, that's mincha time. So the Gemara then says a really big chiddush. I wouldn't have thought this. It's not Rabbi Yehuda and it's not the Chacham. How is that possible? Well, I understand why it's not the Chacham. I understand why it's not the Tanna Kama. That makes sense. Yair, you can think about this. Let's go in the other class. Daniel, Nando, you guys can think about this. Obviously, it's not the Rabbana, right? Yosef Turkish in the back. Okay, Gavriel, those headphones. It's obviously not the Rabbana because they said you get till Chatzos. they tell you get till 6th hour, midday. And this clearly, Hashemesh v'namas is not the Rabbana because they would have said that you could have more time till the mun would burn up. So it can't be that this opinion that the mun burnt up at the 4th hour is the Rabbana. But the Rabbi Yehuda, I would have thought it is. So let's see why it's not. Let's see why the Gemara says it can't be. Why? Rabbi Yehuda, because if you say that this opinion of Chama Shemesh v'namas is 4 hours in the day, and then it's the next part of the day, if it's Rabbi Yehuda, ad arba shos, nami tzafrahu, and he says that the 4th hour is still morning. We just determined that Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is ad ve'ad b'chlal. You get the full 4th hour. So how could you tell me that when it's Chama Shemesh v'namas, that when the sun gets hot and it would burn up the rest of the mun, that's in the 4th hour? How could it be Rabbi Yehuda? Because Rabbi Yehuda says you get that whole 4th hour of the day until 10 o'clock. So it wouldn't burn up until 10:01 technically, if it was Rabbi Yehuda. It can't burn up at 10 o'clock because we determined that 10 o'clock is still morning. You could still daven shachrit. 10:01 would have to be the time where it burnt up. Yet, the Gemara says, at 4 hours, at Bar Bashau, in that 4th hour, the mun would burn up. So it can't be Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda would still give you time. It's still morning. You see that the mun would burn up when it's no longer morning, right? Because if you go back to the pasuk, it says that they would go in the morning and take it. So it could only be in the morning. So whenever the mun would burn up, would melt, so to speak, would get spoiled, it's no longer morning because Hashem gave us the morning. Look at my screen. You're allowed to go in the morning. But why did it burn up? Because it's no longer morning. Chama Shemesh is no longer morning. So if you tell me Chama Shemesh is 4 hours, the Arba Shot is in the 4th hour of the day. That's when the sun is at its hottest, till the rest of the day. That's when it's just got to its peak. The day is not hot yet, but the sun is at its hottest point in the 4th hour of the day. It's not Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda would say, it's still boker. It's still boker. It should still be it shouldn't burn up yet. It should only burn up after the 4th hour, maybe in the 5th hour. Right? Nami tzafrahu. Tzafra means morning. Nami means also. Arba Shot. That those words you know. Rabbi Yehuda ad arba Shot nami tzafrahu. It's still the morning. And if you read this parentheses, maybe it'll help clarify if anyone's confused. That the Jewish people were to gather the mun only in the morning. We're not allowed to gather it after the morning, like I said. After which, the mun would melt up. If you missed the morning, you overslept, and it's afternoon now, the mun would be gone. Since the Brisa says that it would melt during the 4th hour, right? It said here, Chama Shemesh v'namas be'ar b'shel. In the 4th hour, from 9 to 10 o'clock, it would start melting up. Clearly disagrees Rabbi Yehuda, because his opinion is that whole 4th hour is still morning. You can still daven shachrit that whole 4th hour, 9 to 10. So if it's starting to burn up already, that means it's no longer morning, right? Because you can gather the mun the whole morning. So it's not Rabbi Yehuda. And the Rabbanan, Chatzos nami tzafrahu. Rabbanan even tell you even more time. You get until Chatzot is still morning. So until 12 o'clock is morning. So of course it's not Rabbana, because they would give it shouldn't start burning up according to them until 12 o'clock, which is the end of morning according to them. How do I know when's the end of morning according to who? Whenever you can finish Shacharit. Shacharit's the morning prayer. So whenever the last time you could daven Shacharit, that's the time you could. That's the time you could. That's considered morning. Let's consider morning. There's 17 minutes left in my timer. So we see that when the mun would burn up between 9 and 10 p.m., that would sort of indicate that it doesn't hold, that this is not Rabbi Yehuda who's saying this, and it's not the Chachamim, it's not the Rabbanan. So the Gemara says the following. You could actually say, Ibai Ema means you could actually say, if you want to say, Rabbi Yehuda, you could say that it's Rabbi Yehuda, Ibai Ema Rabbanan, and you can say it's the Rabbanan. I gave you two reasons. One, why it can't be Rabbi Yehuda, and one, it can't be Rabbanan. Now we're saying the opposite. It could actually be it's Rabbi Yehuda or the Rabbanan. Now the Gemara is going to show you the complete opposite. A beautiful Gemara. Watch this. It could be either or. First we thought it was neither. Now we're saying no, it could be either. What? Let's see why. Watch this. Beautiful. Let's first talk about the Rabbanan. How could it be the Rabbanan? Didn't they say Chatzot? That is still morning because you could daven Shachar until Chatzot. So could it still be the Chachamim would say that in the hour 9 to 10 o'clock, Hashemesh v'namas, it would burn up and it's no longer morning? Could it be the Chachamim? Watch this. This is the beauty of the Torah. Guys, this is the beauty of the Torah. Hashem wrote the Torah. He didn't literally write it. He told Moshe Rabbeinu what to write. Each pasuk was told to Moshe what to write. And every word, every single nekuda is perfect and is necessary. And you'll see that this beauty from this pasuk. Wow. You would never have thought this unless you read the Gemara. It's unbelievable. If you're reading the Torah, you're following along, you would have missed this. Watch this. Ready? The Rabbanan said you can have till 12 o'clock to daven Shacharit. So we assume that means you can have morning until 12 o'clock because you could daven Shacharit in the morning. That's the idea. What about this mun? The mun. We know the mun can only be collected in the morning, and then by the afternoon it would burn up. So Cham Hashemesh v'namas, that the sun got hot and it burnt it up. We're assuming in the fourth hour, 9 to 10, can't be Rabbanan, can't be Yehuda. The Gemara says no, could be both. Watch this. If you want to say this is the opinion of the Rabbanan, Amar Kra. Remember that pasuk I told you about, B'cham Hashemesh v'namas? It says in the pasuk, Boker baboker. Let's go back. Watch. I'm just jumping up 5 lines. B'cham Hashemesh v'namas. The beginning of that pasuk. Don't forget it. Watch the beginning. It's very important. You need the whole pasuk. V'yilkitu oso baboker. Ish kefi achlo. No one picked up on this probably. Maybe Rivka Friedman. She might have picked up on this. Or Rachel Tract. Or Libby Polevsky. What do you think? It said the word boker twice. Chevra, it said the boker twice. That they would go gather in the morning, each person that he needs to eat, and then the sun got hot, it would melt. Why is it significant that it wrote boker twice? Watch this. That the pasuk says boker twice. Why? Because even according to the Rabbanan, even according to the Chachamim, that say you have until 12 p.m. to daven Shacharis, they would agree that there's 2 parts of morning. There's 2 parts of morning. Now watch this, I'll show it to you. It says boker twice. Hashem is showing us a halacha in this pasuk. It's amazing. Look at this halacha. The halacha is, according to the Rabbanan, that if you have the morning from 1 o'clock, this is from 6 o'clock on a perfect day, until 12 o'clock, right? This is chatzot down here, right? Chatzot. So we are assuming this whole thing is morning according to the Rabbanan, right? This is the Rabbanan. Rabbanan, okay? So the Gemara says, how could it be? Cham Hashemesh v'namas would be at hour 4 over here. And the Chachamim would say you have this whole section for morning. Because the fact that it says boker twice is teaching us a halacha that there's actually 2 parts of morning. You can divide it right into half. And then 9 o'clock is the mid. So you have boker number 1. It's sort of like we did for mincha. You have boker number 1 and you have boker part 2. Now the Chachamim say this whole section here is for sure morning. This whole section is definitely morning. You get that whole section to daven Shacharit. But for the mun, Hashem was teaching you that you better go and get the man because it's going to break up the morning into two pieces. It's going to burn up by the first piece. So according to the Chachamim, Hashem is teaching us Boker by Boker. Why did it have to say twice? Hashem doesn't waste words. Hashem doesn't put extra letters or nekudot in. Every single thing is necessary. And the Gemara says, why does it say Boker twice? Because you could split the morning into two parts, 6 to 9 and 9 to 12. And so it says it twice to teach you what? It says it twice to teach you what? Look back. It says why? That it's teaching you there's two mornings. And the Jews who gathered the man the first morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., by the end of that third hour, by the fourth hour, by 9:01, it was melting. By the beginning of the second morning, by the beginning of morning part 2, it was melting by 9:01. So right here, it started melting already. We only had that first morning, Boker. Okay, beautiful, beautiful idea. It could be the Chachamim, because Boker divides morning into two pieces, 3 hours and 3 hours. Beautiful. So maybe it could be the Chachamim. They might agree that the man burnt up the Hashemesh in that fourth hour, 9:01 or whatever, 9 to 10. It's not a problem, and it's still morning because Boker splits the day into two pieces. The morning from 6 to 12 splits into two sections, 3 hours. Unbelievable. So it could be the Chachamim who said this. Chama Shemesh ben Amas idea. Could be. Could also be Rabbi Yehuda. Here comes the beauty. Here comes another beautiful thing. Watch this. The Iba is Eima Rabbi Yehuda. And if you want to say, it could be according to Rabbi Yehuda as well. First we thought it was neither. Now we're saying both. Could be the Chachamim because they would split the day up into two because the pasuk used the double lashon, 2 words in a row, Boker, which is unusual. Split the day into two. And what about Rabbi Yehuda? How could it be him? He says that it's still day, according to him. It shouldn't burn up until after the fourth hour. How come it was burning up in the fourth hour? So according to the Chachamim, it's because there was 2 parts of morning. There's part A, 6 to 9, and part B, 9 to 12. And it would burn up from 9 to 12. That's part B. According to Rabbi Yehuda, how could it be him? Watch. Hi boker yisero lahachdim loisha achas. What does that mean? I'll read it again and I'll read in more modern Hebrew. Hi boker yitero lahachdim lo sha achat. Read the English with me. Because he also uses the double words, boker. Not that it splits the day into two pieces, because he only gives you till 10 o'clock is the morning. Rather, Hashem is saying, go out in the morning early. Why say something twice? Like you must go. Why would you say that over and over? Why would you say the same word? Well, obviously, you say that for an emphasis. You say that to show the person that you mean you need extra caution. Like, be very, very, very quiet because the baby's sleeping. So why am I saying very so many times? Because I want you to make sure that you're extra quiet. So when Hashem told Moshe to write the word Boker twice, because he wanted you to be extra careful to go out early in the morning. Go in the morning and gather. Why? I want you to go early. I want you to go earlier than when you would have. Yes, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you have till 10 o'clock. It's still morning. You have from 9 to 10 is still included as morning. But because I'm writing Boker twice, I'm telling you, Hashem saying, it's going to start burning up in that last hour. It's going to start at 9:01, between 9:01 and 10 o'clock, that hour, that fourth hour. Even though it's morning, it's going to start burning up. So I want you to be extra careful with this mitzvah of getting them on. I want you to go run out as early as possible. It sort of reminds me of the idea that we daven Shacharit as early as possible. Like Ayelet and I were talking about this. We want to daven early. We want to daven Batikin. That's the best. You don't have to, but you show Hashem because you want to do the mitzvot as fast as possible. So here Hashem is telling us, by Yilketu, Baboker, that you should go out early in the morning. Because I'm telling you that if you don't, it's going to start burning up early, an hour earlier than it should have. Yes, you have the whole morning to get the man. But because Hashem wrote those 2-hour warnings, those 2 bokers, you get an hour less time. Hashem's telling you got to get it earlier. Otherwise, you could have just wrote go in the morning and get it. The fact that he'll go in the morning shows he wants you to go extra early. There's an hour off that you normally would get is not going to be included. So that hour of 9 to 10, that fourth hour, that's even though, yes, it is morning, it's still going to burn up because Hashem wanted us to go out earlier. wanted to go out earlier. Therefore, after 3 hours are finished, it'll start burning up. Okay? Wanted the Bnei Yisrael to go out and gather earlier. So now, unbelievable thing happened. We originally thought it can't be either one of them, and now we think it could be either of them. They both can say that it works, that the mun could burn up, and still, I hold, you have more time of the day. So the mun, according to both opinions, could actually have burnt up during the day, not in the afternoon. That it's still daytime, but it burnt up. Because of this double lashon boker boker, either you split the morning into two sections, and Hashem burnt it up in section one, or number two is Rabbi Yehuda, that the boker boker extra word is telling you to be stringent on yourself to go out earlier, and even though you might have that 4th hour, you should go out until the 3rd hour only to get the mun. And in the 4th hour, it's going to start burning up. So Hashem wants us to be extra diligent with this mitzvah. Okay? Very, very nice. Very, very good. Wow. So we're almost done with this idea. We're getting to the 2 dots today. Okay? So what happens now? Now the Gemara says the following. After we go back and forth, it could be either of them, could be neither of them, what's going to happen? The Gemara says, Kuli Alma. What does Kuli Alma mean? Kol ha'olam, the whole world. Kuli Alma, everyone agrees. Meha decham Hashemesh v'namas ba'arba shos. Everyone agrees that when the sun gets hot, it's the 4th hour of the day. Everyone agrees it's the 4th hour of the day. So my mashma, what do we learn from here? Amar Reb Acha bar Yaakov, Amar Kra. We learn from the pasuk. What do we learn? B'cham Hashemesh v'namas. What time is that? Ezehu shah she'Hashemesh cham b'hatzel tzonein. Why is it that it says cham Hashemesh v'namas and not cham hayom? Why is there a difference? Because the Torah is specifying that the sun is hot, only the sun, not the avira, not the outside, not the air, right? It's not hot outside. It's still cold outside. The sun is hot. But how do I know? What time is it? Ezer Hisha. When is the time? Hashemesh cham. The shemesh is cham. But in the tail, in the shade, it's going to be cold, like in the mornings and rest of the day in September and October. We were under the tent and it was freezing, so the students went out into the sunlight because it was hot in the sun, even though it was freezing outside, 40 degrees, 35 degrees. October, November, still wanted to daven outside. What time is that? Havei Omer ba'arba shot. It's the 4th hour of the day. 2 dots. So what is this last part telling us? That it could have still been morning and that the mun would still burn up. It was still morning and the mun would still burn. And it could be either Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbanan. They both agree that it was still morning, but it could still burn up because of that double word, boker boker. What time was it? It was the 4th hour. Why? Because the pasuk specifically used the word cham hashemesh. The sun is hot. Why didn't it just say in the heat of the day it would burn up? Because it's going to burn up when the sun is hot, but not the shade is hot. The shade is going to be still cold. And what time is that? Until the 4th hour, you have the hot sun, but if you're in the shade, it's still going to be cold. So if you look out, if you think about this for next year, when you go outside in the cold November air, and you're in the early morning when you get here at 8 o'clock in school, and you're in the shade, and you don't feel the sun, it's going to be very cold. You go out into the sun, it could be a little bit warmer, warm you up. And you'll see that all changes after the 4th hour. Because by then, the sun starts heating up the whole world, or at least the hemisphere that the sun's pointing at, it's going to get hot. So the idea being is that between Cham HaShemesh v'Namas, it was the burnt up, the mun, it was the 4th hour, could have been a Rabbi Yehuda, could have been Chachamim, but both agree that it was the 4th hour because that's the time that the Shemesh is hot, but not the shade. The shade is still cold. Oh, very good. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's where those times come from. From this pasuk of Cham HaShemesh v'Namas by the mun, there's a whole discussion of when that was, and by Avram Avinu, by his tent, it says Chom Hayom, when the day is hot, that is literally the whole outside is hot. You can take your jacket off, it's so hot out. That already starts only at the 6th hour of the day. That's when the sun already had time to heat up the whole airspace. So it's hot outside. Not just the sun is hot, but even hot outside. So I hope this little limud was enjoyable, because now we're going on to Mincha. But it just shows you how important each letter of the Torah is, each word of the Torah. Boker, boker. Who would have thought that the double word boker, boker would have taught us a valuable lesson as to when the why, according to each opinion, it works as to why it was burning up during the day, seemingly. If Hashem says you could collect it during the day, it shouldn't burn up during the day, should it? So they both say no, because the double lashon of boker, this double wording of boker, actually shows us that for two different reasons, it would burn up even during the day. And so we could still say Rabbi Yehuda holds that 4 hours is still daytime, and the Chachamim say 4 hours is still daytime because they say chatzos, and it's not a problem that the moon burnt up. Beautiful. We're going to start with mincha, maybe tomorrow or in the next day, but I want you to now spend the rest of your time, if you still have it, to go over with a chavruta and read the words, read it inside, and one of you should have a Merkava opened and translate. One of you should have it open to translate. One of you should be doing it inside. Maybe one of you should alternate, or you could do both on Merkava, but you should read this with the translation. If you have your translation sheets, I think this might be some of it on there, but when I come back, I need to give you guys new translation sheets. We need to be reviewing it by reading it and translating it. It's also very important, not just listening and understanding, taking notes, and you're reviewing for your Jamboard and stuff like that. You're going to be reading this with your chavruta. I don't care who it is, the person next to you. Hopefully, is a glass partition. Otherwise, if you don't feel comfortable, you should do it by yourself. But read it and translate it. That's the only way you get better at understanding the Gemara. And hopefully, by doing that, you're going to do well on the test that we have scheduled. I just want to let you know in advance. The test is scheduled in the last minute here. Let me look at my schedule. Let me test here. We are set. I believe we are going to have the test on the 29th. Hold on. I'm just gonna look at it. It's coming up maybe in a week or two. I can't find it right now. But I did have her, Miss Amet, schedule a test for us. So if you will give me a second. Let's see here. Okay. Whatever. I'll send it another response. Here. The test is going to be February 1st. So that week we have Wednesday for 7th grade. 7th grade, you're going to have a test on Wednesday, the week of February 1st. So let's see what day that is. The week of February 1st, Wednesday the 3rd. February 3rd is your test. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful day. Remember to review that. And when I come back, we'll start maybe making a Jamboard for it. Okay. Wish everyone the best, and you have the rest of the time to review.